series of webinar, the part of our professional development of the Society of Professional Accountants of Canada. Most of you must have been watching the video before starting this webinar that gives you a little bit background and history of the society. Society of Professional Accountants of Canada is one of the oldest accounting body in Canada. It started with the Canadian Institute of Accredited Public Accountant. At that time, in 1938, the designation the institute used to give was APA. And then 1978, we started the Society of Professional Accountants of Canada with the designation of RPA. So now it's a very exciting time. I know we are going through the tough economic time and tough health time with COVID-19, but it is another opportunity for accountants or people who want to be accountant, and especially the professional accountant. It's opportunity for them to learn the process, how to become a RPA. And I know our very learned, very qualified and experienced part of our team, Mike Saniga, will walk you through about the pathways of the RPA designations and our new accounting education program, RPA 2020. So 2019 and 2018, when I took over as the president, I sat with the board and I said that we have to move forward. Accounting profession is not going to be the same as used to be. So things of the past will have to change and look into the future. So with the help of my board, we were able to revamp, reorganize our accounting education program. We called it RPA Education Program 2020. And that is the program which is going to lead the accounting profession in the industry, especially in Canada and all over the world. And this new program, which is now highly dependent on technology and cognitive approach of learning and the decision-making process with the common sense. And this is all those things. And I know with the COVID-19, we are moving forward, and with the new technology and virtual offices are going to be the norm. So another important thing which is important here, I would like to tell to the participant that be ready to learn, unlearn, and relearn. So now Mike Saniga is our Director of Engagement and Innovation Learning. He will walk you through the pathways and also explain to you about our education program and emphasis that we have on various subjects, and also the technology, data analytics is other part of it. So he will walk you through, and you have any question, he's the man to answer your question. So here for you, Mike, everything to you.
Great, thank you. You guys can hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear.
Awesome. So welcome everybody. Again, my name is Mike Saniga. Zubair, thanks for the introduction. I hope everybody's keeping safe out there. This is an unprecedented time for everybody. I don't know what you're doing to keep busy. Maybe you're doing some work. I know my wife has got me doing some extra chores around the house, which I haven't been able to do when I've been busy doing my various things. So hopefully you are keeping safe and healthy, as is your family. So we're going to be talking about RPA Canada, and this is the new RPA Canada. As Zubair talked about in the last few minutes, RPA has gone through a number of significant changes over the last couple of years. New leadership came on with a new vision, and that new vision came about a new opportunity to fill a specific gap in the marketplace. And what you probably notice, and US students or potential applicants to the new RPA are probably aware of, there is an industry need for accountants who do not need or want to follow the CPA path. So this is a significant thing. When we had 3 or 4 distinct accounting designations in Canada: CA, CGA, CMA, and RPA. The CAs were typically your public accountants. And when they were out there doing their work, there was still a differentiation between your CMAs and CGAs. After that amalgamation, there was no real alternative to the CPA. So industry is looking for accountants who are not necessarily CPAs. There's also a demand from students. So being a coordinator at Sheridan College and at a number and working at a number of other different post-secondary institutions, we hear the feedback directly from students saying, listen, I don't want to be a CPA. You know, maybe you've been in this industry for 10, 15 years. Maybe you've already done a diploma at a college, you know, gotten an accounting or business diploma at a college. And that takes you down a different path. Well, after that amalgamation, those students were pretty much shut out. So there is a real opportunity to fill this need. Now, you know, in case there's any questions out there, this is not a predatory move by RPA in any instance. This is a program that's complementary to the CPA program. If you think about, and I'll show you the vision and mission of RPA Canada, because I think that's really important to really get an understanding of who the RPA is for. And you're probably wondering, there's probably a number of students on this call who are saying, I wonder if RPA is the right avenue for me. Before I get into that, so, you know, this is an education program that was developed to suit the needs of industry and students. We consulted with the profession itself, educators, industry, students, and we're undergoing a full rollout in 2020. Now, given the current situation with Corona and, you know, the challenges with everybody being at home, the delays are probably a little bit, but I know that a number of colleges are already ready to roll out a number of courses for this. Now, if you think about the old CGA program or, you know, the CPA program, there are a number of prerequisite courses that you need in order to get into the development program and ultimately to the final exam. So there's the same thing here. How you'll manage this is you'll work directly either with RPA Canada or with your college or with the combination of the two to make sure that your courses that you've already taken qualify for this certification pathway. When you think of the vision of RPA Canada, so the Society of Professional Accountants of Canada aspires to be the perpetually relevant national professional accounting body for local business by ensuring consistent excellence in both service delivery and ethical standards, while inspiring commitment and active support for the communities in which our members practice. So there's a lot of words here. Let's break this down. You can look at the bold letters here, the bold words. Perpetually relevant. This is a program that will morph over time. As definitions, you can Google it just as well as I can. So when we talk about the cognitive approach, this is really about the critical thinking behind the concepts that you're learning. You know, we want to make sure that our educators and industry members, industry partners are aware of that, because we really want that to be a point of differentiation in the marketplace. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about this, but we'll talk a bit more about this. So if you think about how RPA is going to differentiate, and again, we're not trying to step on the toes of CPA. We believe that the marketplace is big enough to have 2 offerings. You know, 5, 6 years ago, there were 4 offerings. So it doesn't seem unreasonable to have 2 offerings in the marketplace. But relevant accounting knowledge and experience. So we want to be independent, impartial, informed, and integrative. Integrative meaning I'm going to take a little bit of learning from this course and a little bit of learning from this course and a little bit of learning from that experience and bring it all together to provide my clients or my employers with a good recommendation, a solid, well thought out recommendation. You know, you may be out there saying, I'd like to advance my career. There may be a lot of individual contributors on this call. And I always try to, when I talk to my students or to people I mentor, I talk about the whole concept of an individual contributor. Your whole job, your whole objective is to get stuff done. As a manager, you know, people want to get up to that manager supervisory role. You are in charge of getting things done through other people. So you're still trying to get stuff done, but you need to get it done through other people. If you are now working to get things done through other people, you need to understand a whole lot of things. You need to understand personality, you need to understand politics, you need to understand motivation, you need to understand, you know, so on and so forth. When you are an individual contributor, they're looking for doers, right? They need to make sure that you can get things done right. When you become a manager, they're looking for thinkers. So this whole cognitive approach to learning and analysis and critical thinking and challenging yourself to work through problems is to really set you up for becoming a thinker in the industry. Some of you may already be there and you're looking to use the RPA to sort of underline or underscore all of that experience that you've had. I think this is a great opportunity for you to, you know, transition into an RPA designation and sort of see your career advance from that. Technology forward. So we talked a bit about this already. We want to be right on the forefront of all technological trends, whether it be self-driving, whether it be cryptocurrency, whether it be blockchain or digital privacy. We've got cloud computing. There's still a lot of people who don't understand the cloud. We want to make sure that our students, our members are aware. Now, you may already have an accounting degree or diploma, and you're saying, I'd love to be an RPA. You don't necessarily have to go back, and this is where we're going to get into in the next few pages, is that you don't necessarily have to be going back to school. Depending on where you are at in your academic career, you may be able to fill any gaps that you have through our continuing professional development programs. So, and this is that point of differentiation that we talked about before, is that we are going to be very laser focused in what you require in order to become an RPA and to remain an RPA. As an example, ethics. Ethics is a really tough subject to teach because it's very subjective. Your idea of values are very different than my idea of values. A lot of this has to do with where you grew up and the sort of the values and ethics that and laws that existed in your geography. What we want to do is get to a consistent level there, and we want to be able to refresh that critical ethical thinking on a 3 or 5 year basis. So part of CPD will be to take these targeted, directed professional development courses to keep current. Internal audit focus. So this is another one where CPAs are very external audit focused. We want to be internal audit focused, and I think there's a real opportunity to add value in a lot of these internal audit roles. There are a lot of job openings. I was speaking to the chair of the Canadian Association of Internal Auditors, and he said there are a lot of open jobs in this area. We want to make sure that our people don't just go there as RPAs. We want to make sure that they're specialists and they can add value as soon as they hit the ground. Practical creative tax planning. So again, if you think about small to mid-sized local business, there are a lot of businesses that try to do it on their own because of budgetary constraints. There's a real opportunity for RPAs to add value in this marketplace, given lower cost of infrastructure. You think about these large national CPA firms, there's a lot of overhead behind that. So you want to make sure that we can adapt. This is probably one of the key themes that you'll hear, is adapt to the market situations and be able to add value to these small to mid-sized businesses. Practical business management accounting skills. So again, these are, we want to focus on these local businesses. Okay, so this is an eye chart, but let's start from left to right. So if you're thinking about becoming an RPA, there's a few different ways that you can approach this. One, as a post-secondary graduate, you could be a college graduate or a university graduate. You might have a number of courses that would qualify as a part of your prerequisites to enter the professional review program and to ultimately sit for the professional exam. The second one here is an international graduate or an international professional. So we have a number of, and I'm just looking at the list of attendees and emails that I've received over the last couple of weeks. There are a lot of internationals who have professional accounting designations from their own countries. And this may provide them, the RPA may provide them a better pathway to a professional career in Canada than if they were to go down the CPA route. Non-graduate, that's a bit of a broad one. And this one, I would say, is more the exception than the rule. But if you think about professionals who have been in industry for 20 years and they would like to, again, underscore all of that experience, that rich experience that they've had, there are opportunities to come in to this profession through, of course, all of the educational requirements would still be there, but there would be an additional hurdle of interviews and references. Yeah, okay, so what we'll do is look at these core pillars. And if you think about sort of the pillars that we typically look at from traditional methods, we would look at these financial accounting, management accounting, taxation. There'd probably be an audit component. In here, we're a little bit different. So financial accounting, of course, we need to have the fundamentals of accounting, and management accounting and taxation for that matter. Business foundations is something that we've coined to talk about those broader educational courses that you would want to sort of round out your accounting experience or your accounting education. Think about things like corporate finance, things like internal audit, things like economics, those types of courses, ethics, business communication. One of the things that we hear from many of my clients in industry is that a lot of their biggest concerns is on communication with people. And we've moved, over the last 20 years, we've moved from very formal communication via mailed letters we went to emails, but they were still very formal. And you know, in the last 5, 6 years, text messages, SMS messages have become more commonplace. And we've gotten to the point where text lingo becomes acceptable. So we need to understand when and where to use that type of lingo, but generally speaking, business communication remains one of those key issues that clients, employers are looking for in their next candidate or in their next service provider. So those are business foundations. And then finally, technology and analytics. So if you think about the world in which we live, technology has become a bigger and bigger part of our lives. You know, 20 years ago, 1 in, 5 in 100 people or 10 in 100 people had a cell phone 20 years ago. And now you're talking about 75% plus, right? And that's just in this country. You look at other countries, it could be higher than 95%. So, and that changes the way we do business. And if you think about computing itself, you think about a cell phone, and my cell phone's cracked, I just dropped it, but this cell phone has enough computing power to land us on the moon. You know, there's more computing power on this cell phone than what landed Apollo on the moon 40 years ago, 50 years ago. So we want to make sure that we are staying forward on this because we need to remain relevant. We need to be able to add value to our clients. One of the things that has become very important in the last number of years is this analytics piece. Because of the advances of computing and cloud computing, and the cost of all of that storage has come down, we're retaining more and more information from our clients about trends, about our sales, et cetera, et cetera. So we want to make sure that we are taking advantage of all that information. And data analytics is a big part of that. So this can help us understand trends. It can help us understand fraud. It can help us understand potential business failure risks. But we need to make sure that as professionals that we are familiar and utilize all of this technology, because I guarantee that our competition will. So we want to make sure of that. So once you go through these courses, and again, you can have these courses delivered through accredited degree or diploma programs. You may also take some of these courses, I say a la carte, but individually through accredited post-secondary continuing education departments. So it's possible that you went out and got yourself a college diploma in fine arts, and you want to become an accountant for that industry. Well, you know, instead of going out and getting an entirely new diploma, because really what we want to focus on is the fact that you've had some critical thinking experience, and you'd get that through post-secondary institutions. As long as you've got those core courses plus a college degree or a college diploma or a university degree, that you would be considered for the mandatory professional exam. Now, once you've gone through this, and again, you know, you could do this in a lot of different ways. We're trying to be inclusive rather than exclusive here. You know, you can take this through online, in-class, synchronous, which means there could be a combination of different methodologies. Maybe it's like this, Zoom webinars. A lot of what we've written here was pre-COVID-19, so but it all holds true here. We may just see the mix of course delivery shifting to online and synchronous rather than in class. I know most of my classes have moved from in class to online delivery, which is you know, if it keeps everybody safe, it's not the ideal necessarily, but it's the most practical approach. Guided learning and self-discovery is another piece to this, right? So if you've got CPD that also needs to be done, we want you to be able to, we want to be as flexible as we can in allowing you the opportunities that the RPA provides. Once you get through the courses, and we can talk a little bit more about those specific requirements, you have the opportunity to sit or to participate in the professional review program. This is an optional program, but highly recommended. This will synthesize and integrate all of that learning and all of that education that you've done over the last number of years, depends on how many years you've been in school, and really get ready for that mandatory professional exam. And that mandatory professional exam is that final assessment. It is the final qualifying exam. It's going to be offered multiple times a year, locations across Canada. We are going to be relying on the post-secondary network, post-secondary institution network, to help us deliver this quickly, so that our members from coast to coast can take advantage of this. And then from a membership perspective, there is an experience requirement. Some of you may already have that experience requirement. I know a lot of my students in continuing education already have 5 to 10 plus years of relevant work experience, and they're just going back to make sure that they've got all their courses. So those people, it's possible that they have a very quick transition into becoming a full-fledged member of RPA Canada. And once you do become a full-fledged member, you can look at that diamond on the right. There are annual CPD requirements. There will be flexibility to allow you to work on items that you wish to work on, and you'd get credit for that. There will also be requirements for you to complete particular courses or themes to help manage your career more effectively. Code of professional conduct and code of ethics, you will be mandated to follow, and of course community involvement. The next page, we talked about these 5 courses or these 5 themes. We'll get into that a little bit on the next page. So these courses, this doesn't mean necessarily that your accounting course is going to be one course. Some of these may end up, depending on your financial institution and how they teach these, this could be potentially a couple of courses. If you're part of ACAF, and I'm not sure how many people are part of that at this point, but if you are a member or have been going through ACAF programs, your financial accounting courses, Financial Accounting 1 and Financial Accounting 2, are, from what I understand in most post-secondary institutions, combined to make up one course. It's a longer course, 63 hours versus the typical 42, but it gives you those 2 courses in themselves. Now, there will be a course mapping by post-secondary institution. One of the best ways to sort of go through this is to work with your college or university and with our administrators and education committee here at RPA Canada. So if you look at how this is structured, there's entry-level foundational type courses. Financial accounting, introductory management accounting, computer applications for business, which is, getting, almost like an intro IT course to make sure that you understand technology. There are a lot of people who don't have that. And ethics and workplace skills. Part of that would be business communication. The technician type level here is going to get into more detail from what you got into in the entry level. Financial Accounting 2, Intermediate Management Accounting, personal tax, corporate finance. So these items here help you become a better accounting technician. The professional piece here, this is getting into sort of an intermediate financial accounting, financial reporting area, corporate tax. Here's a couple of new ones here, analytics and big data. So for a lot of us, we have not had that exposure to analytics and big data. We may have had our own little area where we may have done a little bit of analysis through, maybe through QuickBooks or through Sage or through SAP. Maybe you've done your own work in Excel or Access, but what we want to make sure of is that everybody's got a consistent level of knowledge in this area. Business law is another one. Very important to understand the laws. If you're an international student or an international applicant, you'll need to make sure that you complete these courses because they're very relevant to the Canadian marketplace. Business law, taxation in particular, ethics is another one where you will need to make sure that you complete. And then finally, our fourth level applied is audit and internal controls. We're going to focus on internal audit here and internal controls. Internal controls is a massive area of risk and opportunity for corporations. Small to mid-sized business don't have the budgets to go out and institute all of these different internal control measures that big companies can. So to be able to be creative in this area is paramount to the success and continuity of these small and mid-sized businesses. Accounting systems, data analytics for accountants, emerging trends in fintech and in technology. These are really about taking advantage of the trends and technologies that are out there to be able to incorporate this into our day-to-day work lives. Now, if you think about these courses, like I said, depending on where you're at, you may have a number or all of these courses done. If you are an ACAF student or you've been following through the ACAF program, there is going to be a transitionary period. Because of where we're at with ACAF, a number of you are going to be completing your ACAF soon, but potentially not soon enough to write your final exam in March of 2021, which is the deadline for ACAF. Because of that, we're offering a grandfathering, if you will, of your educational credits from ACAF so that they would qualify for RPA. There will be gaps, of course, in most programs, these technology and analytics courses are going to be gaps in a lot of places. What we can do here is really take advantage of our CPD program, our targeted focused CPD program, so that you can continue through your pathway to being certified as an RPA without being hampered by 4 new courses that you have to take that weren't on anybody's radar 12 months ago. So CPD will be able to help you through that. Now, I really wanted to just sort of focus on these particular items right now, just to give you a flavor for where we're at. So if you look at this slide, we've talked about the particular courses that you'll need to go through. The website for RPA Canada, rpacanada.org, is a fantastic resource for you to learn more about the profession itself and to answer a lot of your questions, whether it be the history of the society, what you can use this RPA designation for, what the focus of RPA is, whether you have any questions. A lot of those items can be answered right from the slide or from the website. But because we've got our a lot of the leaders, we've got Zubair, Kazur, and a number of the RPA team here, what I'd like to do now is open the floor for questions. And I know I've seen my screen sort of flash questions as we've been going through here. So if you just give me a second to sort of go through this, if you do have questions, please run it through. If you have other questions, so, you know, in the interest of time for everybody, I want to make sure that we don't take, you know, a lot more than an hour. Everybody's got lives and their days to get back to. So if we don't happen to answer your questions, please feel free to email info@rpacanada.org. I don't know if you want that invitation, Zubair, but your email address is there as well.
Sure, I'm always open.
Always, yeah, you've always, you know,
always available.
Folks who are on the phone, I've never found Zubair to be shy from answering students' questions. He's one of the most passionate professionals I've met in my career, and he's excited to bring this RPA vision forward in the Canadian marketplace. There's also opportunity, without stealing anybody's thunder, to expand the network of RPAs beyond the confines of the Canadian marketplace. There are a number of countries, professional institutes in different countries, in Asia in particular, who are interested in bringing forth this RPA Canada curriculum so that professionals in that marketplace have a better opportunity to really step into the Canadian marketplace should they emigrate here and really, you know, hit the ground running, like I said before. So I see the ticker going through here. So instead of me continuing to talk, I'm going to go through some of these questions. Let's see here. You guys don't see, oh, I guess there's a number that have gone to all panelists. Do you still have CMA Australia available for full credit? Yes, you know, if you're a CMA Australia designate or member, there is a small process, but it's, you know, whether it be a quick challenge exam or whether it be a direct transfer over via grandfathering. I know there was that over the last couple of months. Zubair, did you want to talk at all to that?
Yeah, sure. You know, with the CMA Australia, we had a memorandum of understanding, so more than 10 years now, that we accepted their designation CMA to qualify for the RPA. But now, since we are going to revamp and reform the whole education program, there are some courses which probably CMA Australia did not cover. So we will review those courses, and then those CMA graduated may have to take some courses or review courses, which they can do quickly. And now with the technology, online and webinar is also technology available. So we will come up with that program, and they can quickly and very easily graduate to the RPA designation. And the same thing we also have with the American forensic designation, FCPA, forensic CPA in USA. So that is also continually, we'll be honoring that one. And recently we have noticed that quite a few number of PBA designation holder from Canada are also pursuing to become RPA. And that is other thing which PBA, that they must write our mandatory professional exam. That is something which we have come up with. We reviewed all the courses and everything, and we suggest that all those PBA designation holder, if they want to pursue the RPA designation, they must go through NPE mandatory professional exam.
Right. Great. Okay. Great. Hopefully that answered that question. There's a question on whether or not, how do I get back there? There we go. Whether we provide fellowship after 10 years for RPA from the date of qualification. So there is something, so this panelist, or I'm sorry, this participant is probably aware of the APA designation. So that is really RPA's equivalent of an FCPA or an FCMA. It's not just time, there would be a recommendation. Zubair, did you want to talk a bit about?
Sure. This APA designation is kind of our step up our prestigious designation. Those designated RPA, once they complete the 10 year of their service as an accountant and practice or whatever experience they gain, and also some outstanding community involvement, some research, some any other outstanding service they have done, they can apply to the society for the APA designation, and then the committee of membership committee review that one and then offer them APA designation. Definitely, all those RPAs who have been RPA for more than 10 years, feel free to submit an application and take on the APA designation as well. Definitely.
Great. There was a question here as to whether or not we'll be providing other webinars like the CERB wage subsidy, you know, these student subsidies, all these different types of things. I know there was a lot of discussion about this. I think it's a great idea. It's not necessarily specific to this particular topic, but I know that the board had talked a bit about this. Zubair, any specific comments on that?
Yes, we did. We did talk about it. We set up a committee on how to guide our clients and our employers, how to take advantage of these emergency relief efforts offered from several levels of government, federal, provincial, and the local governments. So we set up a committee. Paul Brasnam is our chair of that committee, and he is doing an excellent job posting most of these informations on his LinkedIn connection and his Facebook, and maybe we will ask him to also post that information on RPA social media and website. And at the same time, definitely it is a good suggestion. We will look into that one, that we will offer this webinar on how to take advantage of these emergency relief situations for our members and our clients.
Excellent, great. Here's another one here. Which specific post-secondary institutions have an existing agreement with RPA to allow students to earn advanced standing credits for RPA program? So great question. We are down a number of paths with a number of colleges and universities. Obviously, the current situation has created a hiccup during this process, but that all said, if you think about colleges and universities who are currently accredited to teach either the CPA level courses or perhaps ACAF courses, they would all have a preliminary accreditation sort of standing until we go through the full course mapping. But if you generally think of post-secondary institutions who are currently offering CPA or ACAF programs or courses that would qualify for pre-qualification or qualification into the PEP program, that would provide you with general guidance on whether those courses would also qualify for RPA. So hopefully that would that provides enough guidance. Again, if you have specific details about a particular college, so one thing that we're still working through as an organization is the career colleges area. Very big, very popular area of education in Canada, but not quite there yet on accreditation. So, but from a community college and university perspective, if they've got CPA or ACAF courses already, you could be pretty pretty comfortable in knowing that these would also qualify for RPA. One of the things that you probably would still need are, these gaps in technology. So, with data analytics and big data as being emerging trends, we need to make sure that those also get covered, either through a formal course offering or through continuing professional development. Let's see here. How can I document and prepare any CPD courses or programs that I've undertaken for review by appropriate staff within RPA? So one of the big things here is you need to, so if you believe that you're close to qualifying, I would suggest contacting the Institute directly or the Society directly and registering as a student of RPA. The student membership, beyond making sure that they help you through this whole process, you are now part of the larger network, and it is a cost-effective alternative here. $125 a year is all it is to be a student member in this society. So what I would suggest is, and because we talked about this being focused and customized, there may be, there'd probably be an individual review warranted on your own individual CPD courses. If you think about ethics, taxation, technology, those things have the potential of changing yearly or biannually. So the requirements for CPD on those and refreshes on those are different than, CPD courses in public speaking or in anything else like that. There's more to come on that. I believe there's going to be a section on the website that talks specifically about CPD. But again, if you have any other specific questions, feel free to reach out here, and one of the panelists would be happy to answer your questions. Let's see here. Formal prior learning assessment process for non-graduates. So again, this is one where, because we've got a lot of different pathways, I think the best approach here would be to contact the society directly to make sure that you have a pathway. Like I said before, the society is not in the business of trying to restrict membership here. If you are a talented, hardworking individual, we want to give you the, every opportunity possible to become an RPA in Canada. So we really encourage you to reach out and speak to one of the friendly and talented staff that RPA Canada has, and whether they answer your question or forward your question to one of the board members or myself, we'd be happy to help you with that. Let's see here. Okay, so a question here about the professional review program. So the professional review program is highly recommended. It's like a preparatory course for that mandatory final exam. It will integrate a lot of the concepts and will focus on the most important aspects, or will certainly focus on items that we believe are most relevant to the final exam. So there's a ton of courses that you're going to be looking to be looking to complete for, pre-certification, but you also want to make sure that we're focusing on the right areas. A lot of these courses are, kind of background courses or support courses to potentially your core, core professional requirements as either accounting, tax, or internal audit specialists. So yeah, I would highly suggest the professional review program. Again, we are trying to make this as inclusive as possible. So this would be provided or offered through post-secondary institutions across the country. And because of everybody's newfound expertise in Zoom and webinar technologies, this makes it a lot easier to go through this. Of course, it would be great to have everybody in class, but obviously there needs to be a practical aspect to this. Let's see here. Obviously, you guys can hear me, right? So I've got some questions here saying that you couldn't hear me. So here's a question here on the new requirements for IT and analytics. A lot of this has at a number of different colleges, whether the new requirements for IT and analytics, whether they've been incorporated into post-secondary. So I can speak to a couple of different colleges. I know that Durham College, Sheridan College, both have strong analytics and IT programs. So, and I know that a number of them, for people who are from Ontario, are familiar, I'm sure, of the Ontario Learn program and the Ontario Learn environment. So a lot of these different courses are offered through Ontario Learn online. So, you don't have to be residing in Durham or in the GTA in order to take advantage of these courses. That all said, I know that a number of these particular colleges and universities are ramping up that side as well. So, everybody's sort of moving along at the speed of sound here to make sure that that everybody's ready to go on this. Hopefully that answered your question, Serena. Let's see here. Okay, so another question here. Somebody's gotten their transcript and they've received exemptions for a number of different courses. They may have the audit or external audit courses. And the pathway has changed a little bit, but we're not going to make it restrictive to you, Chester. We want to make sure that we, you've spent a lot of time and effort and money taking courses that were specifically relevant to the old RPA program or to potentially ACAF. These are still important aspects that you can utilize in your transition to becoming an RPA. All right, so
I would just like to add, Mike, here.
Sure.
All those, asking this question about the courses, just to let you know, RPA is going to be a different designation, that you are not just once pass exam and then become RPA and then forget. No. You are going to get the RPA designation and you are going to commit lifelong learning with the Society of Professional Accountants of Canada. And then we are going to provide you all the tools as the technology changes, as the trend changes, and then through the CPD, we are going to provide you and we are going to monitor you and that where your deficiency is. And then our CPD department people, Kasser is in charge of that. He's going to send you the note that, yes, you have not done this particular training course or CPD course long time. So we request you to please take technology course or ethic course or management accounting or taxation or any kind of deficiency that you may have. We want to make sure that RPA is always relevant to the profession and to the industry. So you are always up to date. We have started our CPD compulsory from now only 20 hours a year. So 20 hours CPD you required minimum to do to maintain your membership in good standing. And I know as the time goes by, this 20 hours will not be sufficient. And we may review and then increase those hours. And whatever we will be doing, that will be for the best interest of our members who are going to get a lot of accreditation, a lot of recognition, a lot of appreciation from their employer and from their clients. We want you to be prepared, and we want you to have all the knowledge and experience what is necessary. So with RPA, you are not only pass the exam and disappear. You are committed to us for continuously training, learning, unlearning, and relearning. That is our motto. That's what we're gonna do, and that's what we're gonna manage RPA designation. Thank you.
Great, thanks for that, Zubair. Let's see what else we've got here. So the MPE, and there will be a very detailed module on the website on this for those who are interested in understanding more about the MPE. I would suggest going to the website over the next week, and because we're just finalizing the details on a couple things to add in some learning that we got from some of our post-secondary institutions, just to make sure that we get everything incorporated into that. So I would suggest sort of coming back over the next week, and I would suggest if you're interested in an RPA to come back often to the website, because there's going to be new information that comes on, you know, every week, every day. So let's see what else we've got here. Oh, I've got an individual who is an ACMA, has an ACMA India, a member of IPA Australia, CMA Australia, 10 years of accountancy, working in Abu Dhabi, in the United Arab Emirates. You know, a big part of this is, you know, this gentleman is wondering how he becomes an RPA. And the RPA is, like we said, is going to be very inclusive. There can be an equivalency exam just to make sure that everything is on the go for you. And then in terms of how it's used in the UAE, you know, again, this is a newer designation, but as we work with industry and educators here and across the world, you're going to see the RPA increase in its relevance, in its stature, and its reputation across the world. So hopefully that answers. If you do have other questions, and Zubair, maybe perhaps you...
Yeah, I can just add on to this one. Definitely, this gentleman who is already ACMA from India and have IPA from Australia, definitely he will qualify to be a grandfather to be RPA. Another thing I want to tell that RPA recognition is growing very fast, and we are getting every day a lot of emails and a lot of you know, requests that industry and the employers are looking accountants from RPA. And unfortunately, we don't have many candidates looking for job RPA. So RPAs, once they new graduate, there will be plenty of opportunity for them to get the job and employment opportunities. And we will set up a portal on our website and social media as well, that any RPA who has a designation looking for job, he will get the job. And we have a big network, because when we were doing our consultation for the RPA 2020 program, we did reach out to the headhunters and the human resources people and got feedback from them. We reached out to the industry people, got feedback from them, and we reached out to the academic community and we got a feedback. And so that's why the RPA, the new designation RPA is going to be relevant to the time of the industry of today. So any employer, any industry would love to have RPA on their staff.
That's great. Thanks, Zubair. One of the other things that we heard from employers and from recruiters is this whole notion of soft skills. So when you think of the medical profession, we often talk about this as being a bedside manner, right? What the bedside manner of a doctor is. They could come in and be very, fact-based, but they have to take into account the emotions of the patient. It's very similar for an accountant. For a lot of business owners, for a lot of employees, a lot of people in business, they're very overwhelmed or intimidated by accounting. And it's really easy for us to sort of gloss over the fact that we know more than potentially our clients or our bosses. But it's important for us to have that accounting bedside manner, to be able to synthesize all of this really complex stuff and make it easy for everybody to understand. Numbers are extremely useful. Obviously, you all see value in it who are on the phone here, because you're on here looking for more information on becoming an RPA. So, the challenge that we want to put out to our students and to our members is, how do you simplify decision-making for your employer, for your own company, for your clients, such that they can take that, action it, and become better business people. That is a huge opportunity for us. That's why business communication is such an important aspect of this program. We need to make sure that people are ready to be able to, A, critically analyze information, B, know where to get it. Technology is a big part of that. But the last piece is how do you communicate this to your users? It's not just about sending out a report and calling it a day, right? It's about communicating this to make sure that people are able to use this information, take advantage of the insights that you're providing, and making their businesses better. I think that is all of the questions. There is, I think, one other question here. On the MPE, there are 4 papers, 4 major themes: financial accounting, taxation, management accounting, and analytics. Those would be or technology, right? So if you focus on those particular areas, that's where the focus of this mandatory professional exam will sit. So hopefully that answers everybody's questions. I don't see any other questions in here. Again, thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you got some insight out of this. If there are other questions or inquiries, a lot of these may be more specific to your own situation, feel free to reach out to one of these email addresses that you see on the screen.